He went from Captain America's trusted sidekick to a Russian super assassin. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we will explore the comic book origins of Bucky Barnes, otherwise known as the Winter Soldier.
You shouldn't have come here. I had to, Bucky. Who's Bucky?
As with most comic book characters, there are often reimaginings and different versions to a character's past. We have chosen to primarily follow the storyline which unfolded in 2005's Captain America issues number 8 to 14. Bucky Barnes was once a fellow soldier serving alongside Steve Rogers. Eventually becoming the sidekick to Captain America, their run together ended in 1945 near the end of the war, when Bucky failed to defuse a bomb on board a plane. Believed to have been killed, he was actually hurled into the freezing waters of the North Atlantic and preserved in suspended animation, before being found by the crew of a Russian submarine. Brought on board frozen solid and missing an arm, he was placed in cold storage and taken to Moscow. Assuming that he, like Captain America, had super soldier formula running through his veins, Russian scientists used stolen Nazi technology to revive him. In doing so, they discovered that the American suffered from brain damage and amnesia. This made him remember very little from his past life, aside from his tactical knowledge and the ability to speak several languages, conveniently including Russian. Discovering that he did not contain the super soldier formula they had hoped for, they decided to put him back into stasis until they could find a use for him. 9 years later, in 1954, the Russian Special Section Department X decided to continue to work on Bucky's body, having stolen the schematics for an advanced cybernetic arm. Attaching it, that signaled the beginning of the Russians' Winter Soldier project, which would transform Bucky into a weapon to use against their enemies. Brainwashing him, he was made a loyal Russian agent and was given extensive field training that allowed him to slip behind American positions. Given the codename Winter Soldier, he was sent on his first field test that same year, with his American heritage granting him unprecedented access in West Berlin. In the years that followed, he carried out assassinations with extreme prejudice, none of which could ever be traced back to the Russians.
This is Colombia, Afghanistan, the Gulf. Through virtually every conflict we have a record of, Winter Soldier is there, always working from the shadows.
In 1957, after 3 years of service, he began to show signs of deterioration as his mind attempted to fill the gaps in his memory. This, in turn, caused him to rebel against his programming, disobey direct orders, and even attack a fellow operative. As a result, Department X decided to keep him in stasis between missions and give him a new brainwashing session each time he was reactivated. In 1973, after years of selective use, the Winter Soldier carried out an assassination in the US before failing to appear at his designated extraction point. With Russian spies carrying out a massive recovery operation, he was eventually found in hiding and was apprehended. Despite further mental conditioning, he could not remember this blackout period in which he'd gone AWOL, prompting the decision to avoid deploying him on American soil. By 1988, the project was decommissioned and he was again placed in stasis at a facility with other abandoned experiments. After that facility's decommissioning, recovered intel revealed his existence to Steve Rogers, who longed for a reunion with his old friend from another life.
If there's even a chance that I have to know the truth.
Revived again and made a servant of the Cronus Corporation, the Winter Soldier was now assigned to safeguard the Cosmic Cube from the Avengers. This caused him to come face to face with his old friend in an all-out brawl. The Cap was then forced to use the Cosmic Cube's power to return Bucky's memories.
Snap out of it, Bucky! Stop calling me that!
With his memory now restored, his first act was to destroy the troublesome cube before disappearing in an attempt to piece his life back together. Eventually, he returned to take on the role of the new Captain America. A popular and complex comic creation, the Winter Soldier has appeared in the animated series and became the main antagonist in 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which followed up on what happened to Bucky after his apparent death in 2011's Captain America: The First Avenger. Are you a fan of the brainwashed bionic assassin? For more informative comic book origins, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Bucky, you know I can't just let you walk out of here.
When were you ever able to stop me from doing something I wanted to do?